Today's episode is about taking exams.
Huh?
Do you like exams?
Okay lah.
You're listening to
Jom Sembang Malaysia.
Okay, so I was thinking about this exam thing, right? It's because recently I find that, SPM result has been released.
Yes.
Right? And there's been so much talk about it. And then I used to go a lot to Sabah Sarawak to visit the hostels. And sometimes I do the warden job and take care of the hostel for a month or two.
Right.
And I understand how important or how the students like and dislike having exams like UPSR, PMR, and SPM.
Right.
All right. So today I wanted to chat about when we were growing up. During your time, got PMR?
Yes.
UPSR?
God.
Just checking. After I'm talking all the way, and then Juwita was like, I don't know what she's talking about.
I was one of the first year of the KBSR, KBSM thing. Do you know what that is?
No idea. I was the first year of PTS Jam, or what's it called? I can't remember. There was one time during our primary school one, if you like take an exam and a standard 3, if you're good enough, you jump straight to standard 5. They kind of have this program for 2-3 years before
Like
they
Singapore lah.
cancelled it. Yeah.
You cancelled it, okay.
Yeah, they cancelled it. So yeah, today I wanted to chat about bring us back to time.
Okay.
What do you feel when you had to sit for UPSR, PMR, and SPM?
Okay, so my UPSR one was actually quite hilarious in the sense that it's the first major exam, right, for us in school. And I remember the weekend before, suddenly I thought, oh, next Monday exam, huh? I should study, huh? Yeah, that was how chillax I was. And I thought, English, study what? Nothing lah. BM, study what? Nothing lah. Maths, just answer the question lah. Then science lah. Science must go, the photosynthesis lah, all that. Must go and remember lah, the jargon. So I remember that weekend, I took my science dan manusia textbook and I kind of like read through the thing. That was my UPSR experience.
I did quite well in UPSR.
I can't remember what I got.
I find that because it's only 5 subjects, it's easier to concentrate and everything. So I remember scoring straight A's for my UPSR.
Okay, well done.
Yeah, but when it came to PMR, I think there was like a bit more than 5 subjects. I was like, tak jadi ni. But then PMR wasn't that hard. There was still objective question that you can tikam and you won't fail lah. I mean, unless you really bad luck in tikam then.
So PMR had like what subjects? Let's see. I remember I was very excited to have Sejarah in Form 1. It was like, wow! Because primary school, I didn't have Sejarah. And I was like, wow, all these stories, I remember all these dates. It was like something really exciting for me. I took the book, like storybook like that. And then you had what? Okay, so the normal English BM. And then you have...
I don't know. Kemahiran Hidup or something.
Kemahiran Hidup was already that time, Form 1, Form 2, okay.
But for what I remember, I recall according to the order is UPSR, I really studied for it. So I got straight A's. Got class tambahan one, like extra stay back because my teacher said, hey, this one you B. If you work a bit hard, you can get A. So
really?
I remember staying back after school to be tutored by my teacher.
Okay.
Quite serious. When it comes to PMR, there's too many things going on already. And somehow, the idea of PMR didn't register to me until I was in Form 3. Like Form 3 is like, you better study your PMR decide whether you go science stream or art stream.
Oh.
And then suddenly like, wow, why is this exam like so important? Like, because in UPSR, last time, you don't really like apply to a good school. Normally it's the same neighborhood school lah. Like,
I see, okay.
Some people do apply to go to a better high school. Mine is like automatic, so I didn't look so much on the weight of it lah. But when it comes to PMR, suddenly there's this pressure of art and science.
Yes.
And I thought like, to me, no big deal lah. I wanted to take art.
Yeah.
But then my parents was quite a big deal lah. Because they say, arts this is not being racist but arts usually all Malay, like, because they have been to school and they see every art class are all Malay students. There's no Chinese there. And then they're like...
So they felt you might be left out or something.
So they said, you better take science. So that's why there is an added pressure when it came to PMR, I remember.
Okay, that was totally not my experience. So standard 6 was the one that I'm like, ooh, got big exam, I have to study, right? But I think I was always the type that focus in class, don't need to do extra. Just make sure you focus in class and then
I'm totally
should be
opposite.
okay lah.
I play in class and I go tuition to study.
To me, it's like, why waste time? I already have to spend the time in school, right? Then what for I go and... Yeah, might as well concentrate in that. Yeah, anyway, yeah. So Form 3, I remember being a little bit of a transition because I just moved to new school. Yes, I moved to Klang. And then end of the year, that was the Form 3 exam. So there was that adjustment happening. And then I remember after that, they really wanted us to do science. And I put my foot down. I said, I'm not going to do science. Because I'm not going to work in the science field for quite sure.
For quite sure.
For quite sure.
But then the last time the rationale was if you do science,
Yes.
if you cannot cope, you can change to art. But if you start art, you cannot change to science.
Correct.
That's why the Dai also said, please, just get to science first.
But I was like, no, I was focused. So I said, okay, but then I want to do finance and I want to do literature. I want to do English lit. So if you can, I actually went to the teacher as I started my advocacy thing. I went to some friends. I said, come with me. You don't want to do science also, right? Okay, if you cannot give me some science subjects and also do accounts and also do English lit, then not my fault lah. You cannot work it out. Then why you force me to do science? I also want to do accounts and English lit. And yeah, so my class was quite mohiba lah. Yeah, maybe it's Klang different a bit.
Maybe. So I remember after PMR, I actually got to a science stream, but like the last science, but still 3 subjects, the physics, bio and chem.
Yes.
So I really suffered lah. Okay, but I remember when I entered Form 4, I have this very clear view that, okay, I need to score a certain level in my SPM in order to either go college or STPM. So finally the SPM became like a serious exam goalpost. Like that I cannot play around with lah. Can you imagine
I see.
UPSR I play. Then PMR, okay lah, still play lah. This art or science thing is like doesn't affect me, affect my parents, that kind of thing. But when it comes to SPM, it's like okay,
It finally sunk in that this is going to determine your future lah.
sort of lah. Like because I've heard seniors who didn't make it to SPM or didn't make it to college because they didn't hit a certain criteria, the bare minimum criteria. You need to pass your Bahasa Melayu,
Yes.
Sejarah and stuff like
Correct.
that. So I started to, for the first time, actually plan 2 years of study to
Wow.
hit it lah.
Okay. I remember for me, Bahasa was the main thing because if you don't get credit, then your entire grade kind of
Correct.
drops, right? So for me, the Bahasa thing was, go tuition, make sure you, die also get credit lah. Actually, interestingly now, if you ask me what I got, I cannot remember. But I was always the type that is quite competitive in school. And I would want to get an A, not because can get scholarship or because can get into a good school.
Just because you want to be at the top lah.
Yeah, just because that's the top mark that is available. And therefore, I want it lah. As far as possible lah, But that was
So
me lah.
that was my experience. But when it comes to, let's say my brother, right, who I mentioned before is a special needs,
Yeah.
right? So we always try to keep the special needs up to a certain level, like a PMR level. Because normally after Form 3, if you cannot study, you go polytechnic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a mark to hit lah.
Okay.
Okay. So now, with the recent news of removing UPSR, removing PMR,
Yeah.
and then going straight to SPM, here am I wondering how it's going to affect our next generation.
All right. Is that what we're going to talk about after the break? Okay. This episode is brought to you by Songs and Stories. What Songs and Stories does is it gives you the true life story of the people. Everyday people with everyday lives and how they got to where they are. So if you want to find out more, check out Songs and Stories on Facebook. We are also on Twitter and YouTube. And
Yeah, actually, you just Google lah.
yeah, website songsandstories.com.my.
Okay, back from the break, and we were talking about the removal of UPSR and PMR.
Yes.
Okay, so my first impression, I was thinking like, okay, no more exams to take.
Quite good, right? Because what's the point?
Yeah, because if you're looking back, it really has no point. It's like you don't even remember how your UPSR, PMR doesn't contribute to anything.
Yeah.
Even SPM, once you enter college or STPM, it's just not important anymore. It's like your next level of qualification is more important than the previous 3 lah.
Correct. But do you know when I realized that actually it's quite important? We were in Kuala Lumpur, right? And then our friend was, the friend that we always visit is a pengetua.
Okay.
And her daughter just finished Form 5. You also know this family lah.
Yeah.
So she was talking about how daughter did very, very well in SPM, but she was having questions to the point of what pencil do I can use? What pen can I use?
And because there's zero experience before this.
It's such a major exam, and you've never had any experience of this kind of thing before. Even the mother also was like, at one point, like, hey, can you use, now got so many types of pen, right?
Yeah, the erasable, non-erasable.
Can you use this one, or must it be ball pen, or what? So then I realized, actually, having the run up the experience of it, even if your qualifications now, if you look at it, it's like, who cares? But there is at least that preparation, like
correct,
almost
mental like preparation.
Yeah, like full dress rehearsal like that lah, for the main
like
thing.
But that's a very good point though. That's why you will get very stressed when they 11 years of your life studying and then suddenly big exam and nothing else.
And it's just that I've never done this before. What is it going to feel like to sit in the hall? Like got physical distancing. Maybe the physical distance they already
they have
used to
trial
it lah.
exam lah, but I'm not sure how close to real exam format do they have in the trial exam.
Yeah, and then you don't have the experience of not doing well.
Yeah. You either fail or succeed in that one goal.
Yeah, this is it. There's no chance like, okay lah, UPSR I didn't do so well. Next time I study harder, or no experience lah. Then I realized, maybe not so good after all, huh?
Yeah, but for me, what I realized is because I deal with a lot of youth from Sabah Sarawak.
Okay.
So just I mentioned being the warden at a hostel for some period of time. What I do realize is a lot of the kampong folks, when the students or their children cannot study well, they will aim for bare minimum PMR. So like so the parents say, you cannot study, so let's finish PMR, at least have a PMR cert before you go and do other things. Whether it's matriculation, polytechnic or whatever.
Or TVET or something lah, right?
So at least you have that PMR standard lah. You roughly know your basic maths and languages just with a PMR. So that became a measuring point.
I see.
Okay. So when they remove that, right, now all the kampung folks go like, I cannot keep my child at the school until Form 5, especially when he cannot study. Die also cannot study one. Okay, so they start to drop off from school even earlier than 15 years old.
I see.
Maybe like, I don't even have to finish UPSR. Sometimes you're like really, let's say you're really desperate. You say, finish UPSR, then you can come and work at the farm. Okay, but at least you have your basic, like I said lah, the language.
You have a national certificate.
Correct.
Kind of thing, right?
Now you don't. They don't even strive for the SPM. It's too far away.
Wow.
They just in between suka hati cannot lah. After standard 3 and 4 cannot, then just okay bye. So imagine how many so-called uneducated or uncertified students we will have in a country in the next few years.
So here's the thing, right? I used to think, I was taught in school that in Malaysia education is compulsory. And it was only recently that I realized that, only primary school was compulsory. Now I'm not sure what the situation is. But
even in primary school it's compulsory, right? I don't find our government going knock on your door and say, hi, why your kid is not in school? I have not heard of stories like that yet.
Yeah, perhaps. And like, I don't know, do you go to jail if your kids don't go to school? I know in certain countries, your parents can actually be hauled to jail if you don't send the kids to school. And then if you are undocumented, you cannot even go to school. And in Malaysia, right, people are undocumented for a lot of reasons. Okay, but that's, I know lah, different point lah. But at least with a UPSR certificate, it's a measuring point for them to go wherever else. So, okay, let's say they go to a TVET thing, or I think we mentioned that I'm involved with the YWCA, which has a vocational training school, right? So even then,
they look at a certain...
There is like you need to have, SPM results to do this kind of course, or then you have at least Form 3. But without that national thing, now I'm beginning to realize that, maybe there is value in that lah. Last time I thought no UPSR never mind lah. It's like, I mean, you UPSR fail or pass, you still go Form 1 what? So what for do this exam?
Yeah, you finish PMR, you fail or not, also you go Form 4, Form 5.
But I suppose it's a like a benchmarking.
But it's also that breaking down that journey lah.
Yeah, milestones lah, small milestones,
before you go
right?
to World Championship, you must do the district championship, state championship, national.
Oh my gosh!
Otherwise, you go like, hey, you may go to Olympics now, but you have not done any championship.
Yes,
then
you've never done the school level.
Exactly. So yeah, I think removing was at first we said redundant, but if you're looking back, it's really important. It's part of the growing process.
Yeah.
Quite needed. That extra 1 to 2 years every time stress a little bit, builds you up,
Yeah. So how? We canvassing for them to put back, huh?
Yeah, let's canvass it. So actually, what really also brings me to this attention is because like the SPM results that were recently out.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a record that says that close to 90,000 candidates who sat for SPM exam failed their mathematics. And over 52,000 did not even pass English. Can you imagine our future leaders?
Is that related to not having prior exams or
I'm just guessing so because it's one of the worst
ever?
bad drop of
Like last year was not like that.
Correct. So even if you have bad, like the records I always hear, like, okay, people still decently, quite a lot of them pass the basic maths, languages. But when we found results like that, then you're like, not only that, there's actually a drop of candidate. Like, let me go and read about. I remember the significant amount of candidate didn't turn up for the SPM.
Oh.
And those who failed after they took SPM was quite high compared to the previous years. So I'm wondering whether all this is contributed by the fact that, I don't have PMR, so I just turned up for SPM. And then, yeah, it's not just the study, the whole experience of taking exam just now you mentioned.
Yeah, because if you're talking about not turning up, maybe it's the whole stress of, you know how when you're very scared, like I remember last time I was
Correct.
stressed to get that jab. And then
No,
I didn't get it because
You're
I
stressed.
wasn't prepared. Yeah, and then you just don't turn up because you don't know that mental block lah. But right, okay,
Yep.
the maths one, I think I can see how that could happen lah if your grades really fall without that prior prep, right? I remember in Form 1 or Form 2, one day the teacher came and said, Juwita, actually your maths, you know the answer one, no? Because you never read properly, you somehow lose points lah.
Something like that.
Something like that. So I mean, yeah, that realization can happen in, of course, your normal exams in school. But I think when there's a proper benchmark, like a proper certification, your Form 3 exam, you tend to put in a little bit more.
Yeah, you don't want a
effort
black
lah.
mark in your history, even though the history might not matter later on lah.
Yeah,
like
I
on your
suppose lah.
portfolio lah.
But just being that, like learning the mistake early lah.
So for me, right, I had to take Ed Maths, part of the science stream.
Ooh.
I'm very good in maths. My maths is 99, 99.5. Until the teacher must give me minus 0.5, otherwise 100%.
Wah.
A bit what lah. Okay.
Okay, what?
But when it comes to Ed Maths, I'm really bad. So she said, how come you're good in maths but you're not good at maths? Well,
Don't know how
I
to
find
add.
it totally different. Totally different ballgame altogether. And I really studied Form 4. I was failing my Ed Maths.
Isn't that normal?
Came to Form 5, right? I said, if I score everything A, then my Ed Maths get like, I felt like really down. So what I did was, I took it lah. The exam part trained me to like, okay, I cannot fail. So I need to work towards the actual exam. So I think that's what happened. Not only the trial exams, but the PMR, the UPSR actually pushes you to the big SPM exam. The experience of it, like how the feeling of answering question, the paperwork, the pencil and all that. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Probably the first exam UPSR, you go to pencil lah. Then you say, broken already. Then sharpen, cannot sharpen one. By the time you go to PMR, right, you roughly know I bring 5 pencils.
Correct. And then where do I do my calculation? Do I write it in, or is it this one is no need to be shown one? What needs to be seen? What does
Correct.
the examiner need to see to get the marks?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
that
all this
lah.
contributes to that final big exam, I find lah.
Yeah lah.
So yeah lah. Let's read some news that I'm reading from Free Malaysia today. Okay, so overall, Untuk Malaysia reported that 42.9% of the candidates failed at least one subject in SPM this year.
Wow, that's very high. That's almost half.
Correct. What else? Other things are a little bit more, a little bit too integrity. But the fact that a lot of them did very badly in maths and there's a lot of drop out from SPM, I believe is contributed by this whole removal of PMR lah. Because when you remove PMR, then you don't even have an exam to determine whether you're science and art. It's really up to you, you don't even know where your strength lies.
That is true.
Put it that
And then the onus is on the schools lah. If your school is a bit lax in the way they do exam, then sorry for you lah.
Correct.
Right?
It's really that.
Yeah.
But even in our long-term life after school, right, let's say career, you cannot jump straight to become a producer. You still need to take that small steps of small milestone lah.
Yeah, all those little challenges, like you cross this one, then okay. Or do this project, do it well, then okay, then I can go to a big thing lah.
Yeah. So I think one thing that this entire episode or change taught me was, okay, I must have small milestone in my life so that by the time I reach that big one, I'm more prepared for it.
Definitely.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by two Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.